In previous episode, we saw the major difference between ISO 2008 versus ISO 2015. Today, we will learn the 7 quality management principles. Now, let's begin. 7 principles. 7 beliefs that separate organizations that merely have a quality system from organizations that are a quality culture. Toyota has them, Apple has them, SpaceX has them. A 22-bed hospital in Jaipur that reduced patient errors by 60% in 1 year had them. And a company I will tell you about at the end of this episode violated all 7 at once. The story does not end well, but the lesson is unforgettable. By the time this episode is over, you will not just know these 7 principles. You will feel which ones your organization is violating right now. Let us begin. Where the 7 principles come from. The 7 quality management principles are not the 7 clauses of ISO 9001. They are the foundation beneath the clauses. Think of the clauses as the structure of a building. The 7 principles are the engineering philosophy that the architects used when they designed it. They are not a checklist. They are not audited directly. No auditor will tick a box next to customer focus. But every auditor will find the evidence in your objectives, your management review, your NCR register, your supplier controls, and your training records. The principles were first formally articulated by ISO Technical Committee 176 in the year 2000. They were refined in 2012 as the 2015 revision was developed, and they were documented in ISO 9000:2015. 7 principles. They build on each other. None is optional. None operates alone. For each principle I will tell you what it means in plain language. A story of an organization that lived it fully, what happens when it is ignored, and the single most important question to ask about your own organization. 7 principles. Let us light them up, one by one. Principle 1. Customer focus. Every decision your organization makes traces back to one question. Does this serve the customer? Not, does this serve our process? Not, does this make our documentation look clean? Not, does this make the auditor comfortable? ISO 9001:2015 says organizations depend on their customers. In engineering language, your customer has stated requirements and unstated expectations. A car buyer does not say, "Please make sure the doors close with a solid, satisfying sound." But if the door sounds cheap, they notice. That unstated expectation just became a quality problem. Toyota calls this the difference between what the customer says and what the customer feels. Now, the Amazon story. In 2003, Amazon introduced one-click ordering. The customer's stated requirement was simple. I want to buy this book. The unstated requirement was even more powerful. I want to buy this book, without filling in 12 fields and clicking 7 times. Amazon identified the unstated requirement and built it into their process. Repeat purchase rate increased by 28% in 12 months. That is customer focus as a competitive weapon. Now the failure. A Tier 2 automotive supplier produced components to the exact specification on the drawing. Dimensional tolerances? Met? Surface finish? Within spec. Delivery? On time, and the customer rejected every batch. Because the customer had begun using a new assembly robot 6 months earlier, the robot required a slightly different surface profile. It was not documented on the drawing. The supplier never asked. The customer assumed they would figure it out. The batch was scrapped. The relationship was damaged beyond repair. Customer focus does not mean meeting the drawing. It means understanding the intent behind the drawing. When did you last speak directly to your customer and ask what they are struggling with? The most customer-focused thing most companies do is write customer focus in their quality policy. Then get back to internal meetings about internal problems. Principle 2. Leadership. Leaders at all levels, not just the managing director. Every team leader, section head, supervisor, and engineer with a direct report. You are a leader. But let us be honest about where leadership most often fails in quality systems. It fails at the top. They sign the quality policy. They attend the management review. They nod seriously at the audit results. But here is the test. A random Tuesday morning, not an audit day. Does your managing director walk through the production floor and ask, "How are our quality objectives tracking this week?" Does the CEO sit in on a corrective action review, or does quality belong to the quality team, while everyone else has other priorities? Now the Ratan Tata story. While developing the Nano, Ratan Tata personally visited the production line multiple times. He sat in a prototype in the rain to test whether the windows sealed properly. He was not testing a specification. He was experiencing what the customer would experience. Leadership is not approving quality reports. It is being present in the quality conversation. Now the failure story. The quality manager presents the KPIs. Defect rate, climbing. Customer complaints, up for 3 months running. Corrective actions, all open and past due. The managing director is on his phone. The operations director is calculating production throughput. Someone asks, "Is this going to affect the certification?" The quality manager says, "Probably not." Meeting ends. Nothing changes. That is the absence of leadership, and it is the most expensive quality problem most organizations have. The quiet belief that quality is someone else's problem. Quality cannot be one person's job. Some said, "Now quality belongs to everyone." Others said, "Now quality belongs to everyone." Same words, completely different outcomes. In the first organization, quality became a shared culture. In the second, quality became nobody's problem. The difference was not the interpretation, it was the leader. Principle 3. Engagement of people. Your quality system is not the document that describes your process. Your quality system is the people who run your process. A quality system with perfect documentation and disengaged people is a beautiful manual for a machine that does not work. Now, the hospital in Jaipur, a 22-bed private hospital, year 2019, pursuing ISO 9001:2015 certification. The quality consultant's first question was not, "Show me your documentation." It was, "What do your cleaners think about infection control?" Not the doctors, the cleaners, because in a hospital, infection control happens at every level. If the cleaners do not understand why the protocol matters, not just what it says, then the protocol is a fiction. The hospital spent 3 months talking to every person in every role. The cleaners identified a pattern the clinical staff had not noticed. The highest risk contamination moment was the 30 minutes between patient discharge and room cleaning, when other patients or visitors sometimes entered the uncleaned room. One observation, from the people the organization had never previously asked. They changed the protocol, installed a simple door sign system, and patient errors related to cross-contamination dropped by 60% in the first year. One conversation, with people who had never been asked. Now the failure, a manufacturing company, quality team of 6 people, 40 production workers. Not one of the 40 had ever been asked to contribute to a corrective action. Every NCR was investigated and resolved by the quality team alone, in their office. Do you ever see problems that never get reported? Every day. Why do you not report them? We tried. Nothing happens. So we stopped. That may be the saddest sentence in quality management. 6 people, expected to ensure quality for 40. 34 people, who had given up trying to help. The quality department's job is not to ensure quality. It is to build the system that enables everyone to do quality work. Principle 4. Process approach. Stop thinking in departments. Start thinking in processes. Most organizations are structured in silos: sales, engineering, production, quality, finance. But the customer does not experience your silos. The customer experiences your output. Process approach means mapping the flow of value from customer requirement to customer delivery as connected processes. Most defects are not created in one process. They are created at the handover between processes. The gaps between the silos, that is where quality dies. Now, SpaceX, every stage of the design to manufacture to test to launch sequence is a formally mapped process. The handover from design to manufacturing is not an email. It is a formal design release process with documented acceptance criteria. If manufacturing receives a design that cannot be manufactured, they return it to design. The process requires it. Now the failure. A large electronics manufacturer had a quality system organized by department. Production measured units per hour. Quality measured defect rate. Engineering measured design iterations. Nobody measured the handover from engineering to production. Every quarter, the first production run had a 15 to 20% first-pass failure rate. Every quarter, for 4 years. That gap cost approximately 12 weeks of lost productive time per year. One process map, one formal handover review, and first-pass failure rate dropped to under 3% in 6 months. Map the gap. Fix the gap. Principle 5. Improvement. Successful organizations have an ongoing focus on improvement. 2 words: ongoing, focus. Not improvement when we get a complaint. Not improvement when the auditor comes. Continuous means without interruption. A river. Continual means occurring regularly over time, with intervals. Breathing. Not a revolution every moment, but regular evaluation, regular action, and regular verification. They set quality objectives in January. Review them in December. Reset the same objectives for next year. That is not continual improvement. That is annual disappointment, systemically managed. Now, Toyota Kaizen. Every worker, every day, empowered to suggest one improvement to their process. Between 1986 and 2008, Toyota received and implemented over 40 million employee suggestions. Not giant innovations, small improvements, to individual process steps. Now the failure. A company with ISO 9001 certification for 11 years, same quality objectives for 11 years. Customer satisfaction, above 80%, defect rate, below 2%, on-time delivery, above 90%, same numbers, 11 years. 11 years ago, those targets were stretch goals. Now they are the ceiling, not the floor. Your customers' expectations have increased. Your competitors have improved. Your organization has stayed exactly the same. It is the slow drift toward irrelevance, with a certificate on the wall. Principle 6. Evidence-based decision-making. Engineers live in data. We do not guess whether a joint will hold under load. We calculate it. But quality decisions are, in most organizations, made on intuition, politics, and whoever shouted loudest in the last meeting. Principle 6 says, no. Show me the data. Make the case with evidence. Now, Florence Nightingale. Year 1854, Crimean War. The British military hospital at Scutari had a catastrophic death rate. Military commanders attributed deaths to battle wounds. But Nightingale looked at the data, and she constructed one of the first data visualizations in history. The polar area chart, now called the Nightingale Rose, it showed cause of death. The data revealed that 85% of deaths were from preventable causes, not battle wounds. Sanitation reform was implemented, and the death rate fell from 42% to 2.2% in 6 months. One chart. Evidence, decision, action, result. Now the failure story. And the failure here is not ignorance, it is selective evidence. The longest-standing supplier was consistently delivering at 87% on-time delivery and a 3.2% defect rate. Meanwhile, a new supplier was performing at 97% on-time delivery and 0.4% defect rate. The procurement director would not change the primary supplier allocation. What would you need to see in the data to change the decision? The current supplier has been with us since the beginning. That is not an answer. The hardest part of Principle 6 is not finding the data. It is the courage to act on what it tells you. Principle 7. Relationship management. Interested parties. Plural. Not just suppliers. Regulatory bodies, internal departments, technology partners. But let us be direct. In manufacturing and engineering, the most critical application is supplier management. Most companies treat suppliers as vendors. Issue a purchase order. Supplier delivers. You inspect what arrives. That is not relationship management. That is transactional purchasing with a complaint mechanism attached. Your supplier's quality is part of your quality system. You cannot be a 3-star quality operation built on 1-star suppliers. Now Honda sends manufacturing engineers into supplier facilities to help develop their processes. They call it BP, best position, best productivity, best product. Not to inspect, but to improve. Result: Honda's supplier rejection rates are among the lowest in the industry. Now the failure. A company with a genuinely solid internal quality system. 18 months after certification, a key supplier began experiencing financial difficulties. Quality degraded, slowly at first, then rapidly. The company's defect rate tripled in 3 months. Customers began receiving products that failed in the field. Response: issue corrective action to the supplier. But the supplier could not resource the fix. Find an alternative supplier. 5 months to qualify? ISO 9001 certificate. Still valid. Customer trust gone. Your supplier's quality is your quality. Manage the relationship or inherit the consequence. Let's rewind what we learned today. 7 principles, all 7 pillars lit. Customer focus and leadership are inseparable. Engagement of people and process approach feed each other. A process approach implemented by disengaged people produces a beautiful map of a broken system. Improvement and evidence-based decision-making are codependent. You cannot improve what you do not measure. Relationship management supports all 6. An organization that excels at 6 and neglects the 7th will be consistently undermined by the 7th. Now, the company that violated all 7. On paper, a solid quality system. In reality, Principle 1 violated: no customer satisfaction survey in 3 years. Customer requirements based on a 2012 contract. Principle 2 violated: the managing director had not attended a management review in 18 months. Principle 3 violated: no production worker had ever been involved in a corrective action. Principle 4 violated: engineering and production had not formally reviewed their handover process in 4 years. Principle 5 violated: quality objectives unchanged for 6 years. Principle 6 violated: a supplier with a 4.8% defect rate retained, because the procurement manager liked them. Principle 7 violated: no formal supplier development, no quarterly reviews, no financial monitoring of key suppliers. They failed their ISO 9001:2015 recertification audit, with 7 major non-conformances, 1 per principle. The auditor did not need to investigate deeply. The gaps were visible within 4 hours. 7 principles, 7 gaps, 1 failed recertification. Every single gap was fixable. None required significant investment. They required attention. intention, and the willingness to lead quality rather than manage compliance. That is the difference between the 7 principles and a certificate on the wall. That is the physics of quality culture. 7 principles. You have heard all 7. The successes, the failures. Now do something. Rate your organization on each principle, 1 to 10. Be ruthlessly honest. Customer focus, leadership, engagement of people, process approach, improvement, evidence-based decision-making, relationship management. 7 scores, add them, divide by 7. That is your current quality culture score. Comment your lowest score below. Just the number. No explanation needed. The principle that gets the most low scores becomes a bonus deep dive episode. That is not a personal failure. That is a systemic problem in the quality profession. In 3 episodes, you now know why ISO 9001 exists, what changed in 2015, and the 7 principles every great quality organization is built on. Episode 4. Clause 4. Context of the organization. The clause most companies get wrong first, and the clause that determines whether your entire QMS is built on solid ground or a beautiful compliant swamp. I will show you. The SWOT analysis that most quality consultants get wrong. The PESTLE model most organizations fill in once and never open again. And the 2 questions that tell you everything about whether your organization truly understands its context. Subscribe, hit the bell, join the Omni_Forge community. And if you rated any principle below 5, you are already ahead of most organizations because you are honest. Quality is not what you inspect at the end. It is what you forge into every decision from day 1. 7 principles. None are someone else's job. None are optional. None are achieved once and forgotten. They are the daily discipline of every great organization. Start with your lowest score. Fix that first.